Has this ever happened to you? You're sitting across from her. She's laughing, smiling, giving you those subtle looks, the kind that make your chest tighten and your mind race. Her hand brushes against yours for just a second too long, and in that moment, you think, she's into me. You lean in, trying to hold that spark. You text her later. She replies not right away, but eventually, a little cold, a little vague. Still, you keep going. You keep initiating. You ask her out. She says she's busy. You joke. She barely responds. You compliment her. She likes the message. That's it. And yet, you still believe it's working. You still believe she'll come around. That if you keep showing up, keep proving yourself, keep making her feel special, she'll finally want you back with the same energy. But let me tell you something most men never want to admit, and it's this: if you have to chase her, she doesn't desire you. Read that again. Desire doesn't need convincing. Desire doesn't require effort. Desire pulls. It doesn't push. And most men are pushing so hard. They've confused resistance with progress. You think you're warming her up, but you're just being tolerated, and you don't even see it. Because no one taught you the truth that desire is not logical. It's emotional. It's primal. It's based on how she feels in your presence. Not what you say. Not what you do for her. Not how good of a guy you are. What pulls a woman in isn't you proving you care. It's her feeling something about herself in your presence. It's how she feels about herself when you're not trying to win her. When you're not begging for her attention. When you're not needing her response to feel validated. But most men never learn this, because we're taught to give, to be available, to be emotionally open, to check in, to follow up. And when she starts pulling away, we double down. We become more available. We try harder. We ask if something's wrong, and that's when the damage is done. Because here's the emotional trap. The moment she feels your need, she loses the instinct to chase you. And that instinct, that craving, is the only thing that makes her come to you out of desire. Once she feels your pursuit, her curiosity dies. The mystery evaporates. She may still respond. She may still entertain you. But it's over. You've shifted the dynamic from desire to duty, from magnetism to maintenance. And if you're honest with yourself, you've felt this shift before. The energy drops. The texts slow down. The excitement turns into obligation, and you try to fix it by giving more, but the more you give, the colder she gets. It's not because you're not enough. It's because you gave away the one thing that made her feel something real, your emotional distance. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about being cold or distant to play games. I'm talking about holding your center, not giving more than you're receiving, not rushing in to fill every silence, not trying to manage her emotions. Because when a woman senses you're not chasing, not trying to win her, she either leans in or she disappears. And that's a good thing, because the only woman worth investing in is the one who chooses to come toward you not out of pressure, not out of guilt, but out of hunger. So how do you get there? You stop overgiving. You stop performing. You stop managing the connection. Instead, you create emotional gravity. You don't respond right away. Not to punish her, but because your life is already full. You don't ask twice. You don't explain yourself. You don't seek validation through her reaction. You speak clearly. You observe. And you let her choose. Because the more emotionally centered you are, the more she has to lean in to feel you. And that's when desire begins. Not when you chase, but when you stop moving, when you become still, certain, focused. When she can sense that your attention is not free, it's earned. So ask yourself, where have you been giving your attention away too cheaply? Where have you been tolerating cold behavior in the name of being understanding? Where have you been the one holding the connection while she just enjoys the warmth? If you want her to come to you out of desire, you need to stop feeding her indifference. You need to break the pattern, not through manipulation, but through self-respect, through silence, through the refusal to chase what doesn't chase you back. Because here's the truth, no one tells you most women don't want a man who gives them everything. They want a man who gives them nothing until she's earned something. Have you ever done this and didn't realize it pushed her away? Tell me what happened. What's the hardest thing you've faced when trying to keep a woman interested? Drop your story below. Which mistake do you see yourself making the most? Be honest in the comments. You've been taught to believe that consistency wins her heart. That being the nice guy, the reliable one, the one who texts first, checks in, plans dates, reassures her when she's distant that this is how you show up as a man. You've been told that effort equals value, that if you just hold steady long enough, she'll appreciate you, she'll feel safe, she'll choose you. But here's the hard truth. Consistent effort doesn't create attraction, it creates certainty. And the moment she feels certain about you before she's invested emotionally, she loses the desire to chase. You gave her the ending before she started reading the story. You gave her security before she felt mystery. You gave her access before she felt scarcity. And that's why she pulls away. That's why she stops texting back quickly. That's why her enthusiasm fades even though nothing bad happened. Because emotionally, she already has you. And when she has you without earning it, the instinct to pursue dies. Most men think women want to be chased. No. What she wants is attention from a man who doesn't give it easily. What she wants is to feel slightly unsteady to wonder if she's done enough to keep your focus. That uncertainty, that tension, that's not cruelty. That's emotional polarity. That's what creates the push-pull that desire lives in. But the moment you drop your edge and start giving affection freely, the moment you treat her like the prize, you erase that polarity. And she doesn't even know why she's not excited about you anymore. She just knows she's not. So what do you do instead? You flip the script. You stop trying to be impressive and start becoming impossible to ignore. You make her earn your consistency. You let her feel the lack of your attention when she pulls away. You don't chase. You don't explain. You don't initiate after her energy drops. You observe. You match effort, not words. Because desire isn't built on explanation, it's built on contrast. And most men kill the contrast by giving too soon. Now let's be tactical. Let's say you're texting a woman and she starts getting colder. Her replies are shorter. Delayed, she's busy. Instead of doubling down, you pause. You don't text again. You let her absence be felt. She might not come back. Good. Because if she does, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because she noticed the shift and chose to return. That choice is the only ground real desire can stand on. Let's go deeper. You're on a date. You're having a great time. But you start noticing something. She's leaning back, playing on her phone, looking around. That's your cue to dial back. Not get more excited, not prove yourself. You calmly finish the interaction. You leave it there, and you don't text after. You wait. You let the silence test her interest. You let the uncertainty build. She texts you later. Now you have power. Now you know her interest is real, not convenience. But here's where most men fail. They get emotionally attached before she does. They start planning a relationship off a good first date. They imagine futures off a few flirtatious texts. They invest too soon and then wonder why she's gone by the third week. You can't afford to do that anymore. You don't chase the woman. You attract with discipline. You create space for her to reveal her true level of desire. And if that desire isn't there, you walk. Not with resentment, with clarity, with standards. You are no longer the man who begs for attention. You are no longer the man who tries to win over indifference. You are no longer the man who pours love into a woman who only gives you fragments of herself. You want her to come to you, then stop being so available. Start being selective. Start being focused. Start being willing to lose her if keeping her means losing yourself. Because once a woman senses that your attention is expensive, that it's not handed out to anyone, that's when she starts wondering who you really are. And when she starts wondering, she starts chasing. And that's when desire becomes real. So ask yourself, have you been too consistent with a woman who hasn't earned it? Have you ever watched her interest drop the moment you started being more open? Do you know the difference between emotional investment and emotional availability? Let me hear your story in the comments. Tell me what you used to do and what you're going to do differently now. Let's talk about the pain. No one warns you about the pain of being used emotionally. It doesn't always look like manipulation. Sometimes it looks like her texting you when she's bored, venting to you about other guys, calling you such a good guy, keeping you on the hook with just enough warmth to keep you close, but never close enough. And you stay. You stay because you hope. You stay because you believe you're different. You think she just needs time. You think if you show her how loyal, how patient, how deeply you understand her, she'll eventually wake up and realize you are the one. But here's what you're not seeing. She already knows you're there. She already knows you care. And she's not moved by it because she didn't earn any of it. That's the cruel irony of male desire. The more we feel, the more we give. The more we give, the less they feel. Women don't fall for emotional safety. They fall for emotional impact. She has to feel something, a spark, a mystery, a pull she can't explain. That doesn't come from comfort. It comes from restraint. It comes from a man who doesn't hand over his heart just because she smiled at him. You're not supposed to give your loyalty to potential. You're supposed to wait for action, for pursuit, for investment. If she only calls when she's lonely, if she only flirts when she's drunk, if she only pays attention when you pull away, that's not desire. That's ego maintenance. But if you keep playing into it, keep answering the late night texts, keep giving her attention every time she's bored, you're not showing her how valuable you are. You're proving that you don't value yourself. So let's get even more tactical. You want her to come to you, then start setting boundaries with your attention. You don't respond immediately to every message. You don't ask follow-up questions when she gives one-word answers. You don't validate lukewarm energy with warm replies. And if she disappears for days, you don't just pick back up where you left off like nothing happened. You slow down, you observe, you let her wonder where your energy went, because that's what starts the fire. When she realizes you're not always going to be there, that you noticed her indifference and adjusted your energy accordingly, that you're not begging for scraps, that you're not going to be her emotional support dog, that she either shows up with real energy or she fades into the background. That's when you become dangerous, because now you're not driven by her anymore. You're driven by standards. You don't punish her, you don't chase her, you don't ghost her, you just stop initiating, you stop making it easy, you let her miss you. And if she doesn't, that's your answer. Because here's the thing, when a woman really wants you, you won't have to ask. You won't have to decode her texts. You won't have to keep the conversation alive. You won't have to ask her to make plans. She'll show up, she'll flirt, she'll reach out, she'll ask questions, she'll try. But if you never create space for her to try, if you're always doing all the emotional lifting, she'll never have to. And she'll never feel what it means to want you. So here's your new mindset. No more investing first. No more emotional overreaching. No more auditioning for a role she hasn't even offered. You're not a placeholder. You're not a backup plan. You're not the maybe later guy. You're the man she wonders about. You're the man she misses when he doesn't text back. You're the man who doesn't give himself to someone just because she's pretty or fun or different. You're the man who waits to see who shows up when he stops chasing. That's how you win in silence. That's how you reclaim your power, not by controlling her, but by controlling yourself. She comes to you out of desire when she feels the loss of your attention, not when she expects it. So let me ask you, when was the last time you pulled back instead of leaning in? Have you ever let the silence do the talking and been surprised by who came back? Do you know the difference between a woman who's interested and one who's just using you to feel good about herself? Tell me in the comments. Be honest, it might help another man wake up. You've heard this phrase before? If she wanted to, she would. And maybe you brushed it off, thinking, no, she's just shy, or she's been hurt before, or she's waiting for me to prove myself. But let's drop the excuses. Let's stop giving her the benefit of the doubt just because she smiled once or laughed at your joke. Let's stop justifying her inconsistency by turning it into some romantic puzzle you think you're supposed to solve. Because here's what it really means when she gives you mixed signals. She's not that into you, but she likes that you're into her. She doesn't want to date you, but she doesn't want to lose the attention. She doesn't see a future with you, but she enjoys being wanted. That's the harsh part. The part you don't want to admit because it feels humiliating. You've been holding on to her potential, not her reality. You've been addicted to the hope of something more, not the actual experience you're getting. So now what you shift? You change the dynamic by changing your behavior, not hers. Because here's the truth, once a woman knows she can have you whenever she wants, she stops needing to earn you. And when she doesn't need to earn you, she stops valuing you. You think you're building trust, but you're just building predictability. You think you're creating intimacy, but you're just creating comfort, and comfort is not attraction. Attraction needs space. It needs distance. It needs something to reach for. You kill that the moment you make yourself fully emotionally available before she's ever proven she deserves it. So let me walk you through the shift you need to make in real, practical moves. You stop texting first every single time. You stop filling every silence. You stop reaching out after she's gone cold. You stop reacting to her stories like she's your daily ritual. You give her space to miss you. If she's used to you responding within 5 minutes, take a day. See what she does. If she cancels plans without trying to reschedule, don't ask her again. Watch how long she waits before reaching back out. If her replies are one word or dry, match the energy or disengage altogether. Stop rewarding emotional laziness. You don't do it to punish her. You do it to clarify the truth. Because the right woman, the one who wants you, won't need to be reminded to show up. She'll feel the drop in energy and she'll respond. Not with excuses, with effort. That's the new standard. Not who makes you feel excited, but who shows up when you pull back. It's not about being cold. It's about being unavailable to anything less than mutual interest. This is where most men crack. They think pulling back will scare her away. And maybe it will. But that's the point. You're not here to entertain women who were never serious about you. You're not here to be someone's maybe. You're not here to be a source of comfort while she keeps looking for someone better. You're here to be chosen, not tolerated. And the only way to know if you're being chosen is to stop choosing her first. Let her come to you. Let her energy reveal the truth, not her words, not her memories, not the way she once looked at you that one time. Her actions. Because if a woman truly wants you, you won't have to guess. You won't have to initiate everything. You won't have to constantly remind her that you exist. She'll crave your presence. She'll make time. She'll be curious when you go quiet. She'll put in work when she senses the distance, but only if that distance exists in the first place. You've got to stop being afraid of silence. Stop being afraid of losing her. Stop thinking your value comes from how much effort you show. Your value comes from your willingness to walk away, from your refusal to beg, from the strength it takes to not fill the void, to let the void speak for you. So ask yourself, have you ever mistaken attention for affection? Have you been so afraid of losing her that you never gave her the chance to miss you? When was the last time you made a woman earn your emotional presence. Tell me in the comments and don't hold back. Here's the moment most men never reach. The point where you stop asking, how can I get her to like me, and start asking, do I even want her as she is right now? It's a shift from scarcity to clarity. Because when you stop chasing desire and start attracting it, you begin to see things differently. You see that most of the women you've been obsessed with never actually gave you anything. No real effort, no consistent energy, no emotional investment. Just crumbs, a flirty glance, a few compliments, a warm night when she was bored and lonely, a text back after hours of silence, and you took it as a sign to keep going. But now you understand. Now you see the game for what it is, because the game isn't about her. It never was. The game was about your need to be chosen, your need to be enough, your need to finally win the validation you never got. So you tolerated confusion, you tolerated inconsistency, you tolerated disrespect and called it patience. And that's what has to die. The part of you that needs to be needed. The part of you that thinks desire is something you earn by giving more. It isn't. Desire is not logical, it's visceral. It's created when a man holds his ground, says little, and makes her feel the weight of his silence. You want to know when she truly desires you. It's not when she compliments you. It's not when she flirts. It's when she fears losing you. Not because you threatened her, not because you played games, but because she sensed your detachment. She felt that you don't need her to feel powerful, that your identity isn't based on her approval, that her access to you is conditional based on effort, consistency, and presence. That's when she comes to you out of hunger, not habit, out of desire, not pity, out of her own need, not yours. And that's the only kind of connection that's worth anything. Everything else, it's just ego games and emotional labor. So here's your new code. You don't chase women who don't chase you back. You don't explain yourself to people who are already half out the door. You don't beg for attention, you create space for it. And if it doesn't come, you walk. Not in anger, not in resentment, but in full control of yourself. Because the moment you pull your energy back, not to punish, but to reclaim, you stop being the man who needs her, and you become the man who chooses who gets him. Let her feel the absence. Let her wonder what changed. Let her realize too late or right on time that you were never the weak one. You were just too generous with a woman who hadn't earned it yet. And now you've learned to let your silence speak louder than your affection. Now you've learned to be the man who doesn't explain his worth. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.